Yeah.
So I want to talk about the 10 commandments of creativity, or sort of Creative Bias's 10 rules for creativity. And we've decided to do this in a very fun way where I've come up with a list of 10 commandments of creativity and you've come up with a list of 10 commandments of creativity. However, we have not shared our lists. And so
Hmm.
I think that what we're going to do is share each of our 10 commandments, and then we're going to decide like which ones make the cut and which ones maybe we send packing. Or maybe we end up with 20 commandments of creativity. There's no rule that says you can't do that. So, um, first of all, do you have a list of 10 commandments of creativity or 10 rules for creativity? What are you calling it? What kind of
I
language
did.
are
I
you
had
using?
like the 10 commandments of, I put artistry / creativity because I think it could apply to both. And it's like, I know creative bias is more towards, in terms of our like coaching consultancy, is more towards like organizations versus the individual, but obviously organizations and teams are made up of individuals. So,
You would hope.
yeah, so I focused on that more. But yeah, I'm excited to see if we have any like overlap. I almost feel like we should do like quick fire, like you list your top 10 and I list my top 10, and then we'll see. And then we could go by
Mm.
one by one.
I don't hate that, and maybe we will do that. But I do think some of them might like require a bit of ex-
Explanation.
exposition, explanation.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I feel like we could do both.
Let's do both. Good. Okay. I am going to challenge you to start first with your quickfire,
Okay.
and go.
1, stay curious. 2, honor your process. 3, surrender. 4, lean into joy. 5, practice detachment. 6, connection. 7, be fucking for real. 8, fuck perfection. 9, ground over grind. 10, remember humanity.
I like this. I think
Okay.
that there is productive tension between your list and the list I'm about to read.
I can't wait. Suspense is killing me.
Number 1, get angry. Number 2, be selfish. Number 3, read. Number 4, play with yourself and others. 5, process not product. 6, do what you're good at. 7, recycle yourself. 8, invest in new toys. 9, cultivate rituals. And 10, brag on yourself. I think there's a
Ooh.
lot of synergy between those lists. So
Yes.
I can I ask you first about one of the ones on your list, or how do you want to do this?
Uh, yeah. Let's
Talk.
go with our first one first, and then, or do you want to like mix it up?
Why don't you talk to me about your first one and give me a little bit more exposition?
Sure. So, number 1 for me was stay curious, which I think, you knowing me, no surprise. Um, I think it's really important as a creator to stay open and to always approach things with a student's mindset, not like a know-it-all. Um,
Absolutely agree.
yeah.
Okay. Um, that's good. Do you want me to go next and talk about my first one?
Yeah.
Okay. Get angry. Um, I'm going to tell you a little story. Once upon a time, I was in New York and I was working. It was late, sort of at night, and I was working on a project with somebody that you and I both know named Adam Ratner.
Oh,
And the client asked us to write a deck for them for like the end of the week or something. And it was like a Wednesday at night.
of course.
And whatever the deck that they wanted us to write, I was like, I've told them about this 100 times. I've talked to them about this already a dozen times. And Adam looked at me and smiled, and he goes, "Good." He's like, "You're angry." And I was like,
Mm.
why is that good? And he goes, you do your best work when you're angry. So starting from like a personal thing, I do tend to like when I get pissed off, I do my best stuff. But also, it's like that's not unique to me. Um, if you think about Picasso did some of his best work when he was mad. If you think about Rage Against the Machine or Marvin Gaye, like so much of their good work came from a place of anger and like not being satisfied with the way things were. And then if you even look in business, like Dyson, the guy who came up with Dyson vacuum cleaners was just pissed off that nobody else could solve the problem of making a more efficient vacuum cleaner. The people at WhatsApp were like, we hate the way Facebook monetizes people's data, so they invented WhatsApp and then ironically sold it to Facebook.
Fair
But
enough.
there's a lot of progress and a lot of really truly creative ideas come from a place of anger. And so a lot of times when I'm stuck or when I feel stuck creatively, I step into my anger. Like, what am I pissed off about? What am I unsatisfied about? What exists in the world that I don't like and I don't want to stand and I don't want to abide? And I use that as like, that's my first place.
Wow. Okay. I'm going to change it up because I think maybe we shouldn't go in order now. Or maybe we
Okay.
can go back to going in order, but because I feel like this directly opposes my number 4, which was lean
Yes.
into joy.
Yes.
It's important for us to like feel into things that make us feel good.
Mm-hmm.
Because I guess the commandment combined could be like lean into your emotion, whatever that
Mm-hmm.
emotion is, without
Yeah.
like judgment, because you should honor your anger as much as you honor your joy.
Mm-hmm.
Or like whatever feeling you're having, as long as you're feeling, like that's kind of the point. Like emoting is kind of the core of where creativity comes from.
I agree with
It's a
that. I also,
response.
yeah, and I think you bring up a good point because when you say maybe the commandment is lean into your emotions, I that hits me as like, yeah, but like that kind of is a little bit reductive or like it makes it a little bit more bland.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you're right, and I think what it kind of gets to is like know yourself to a degree because for me, I've tried to do the whole radical positivity thing. I've tried to be like, oh, I just want to be zen. I want to be in tune with the universe, and that's not who I am. Like, it's just
Mm-hmm.
fundamentally, I am a person who's at my best when I am pissed off about something. Like I'm more productive when I'm pissed off. I'm more creative when I'm pissed off. I have a sharper point of view when I'm pissed off. For some reason, there's just something in my personality that does not do well with peace, zen, and harmony. Like peace, zen, and
Mm.
harmony to me is like, what good comes out of
Boring.
that? Right, boring. Boring. It's probably just boring. But so I think that's interesting. So it's like what lean into emotion, but understand yourself emotionally and understand what emotions bring out the best in you. I like
Yes.
that. Okay. Do you want to go with your second one?
Honor your process.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we know I'm a PM, so process is important to me. But that's not all of it, right? I think whether you're an artist or a creator, like whether we realize it or not, we tend to have some sort of like creative ritual or
Mm-hmm.
practice or like the
Mm-hmm.
thing that gets us into a groove. Like some people will listen to music while they work. Some
Yep.
people will like, you know, go
Some
outside for a
people
walk.
some people whistle while they work. I think mainly
There you
like
go.
elves. Elves tend to do that.
So I think it's important to honor whatever it is that gets you in a state of flow.
Yep.
And even if that's structure, right? Like finding what that process is important,
Yep.
but not be like too rigid about it. But kind of like you have like a ritualistic home base to get you going when you're creating.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. I think so. You have honor your process, and I have one of mine is process, not product, and I think they're very similar. And because to
Yep.
me, what it's about is like, and I think this comes from like I'm a musician. and I think this comes mainly from my experience as a musician, which is like you never play the thing perfectly. Never. You just never do. But it's about like every time you play it, you want to like get better and you want to like get a little cleaner or like anticipate the transitions a little bit more or be a little bit more locked in with the other people you're playing with. So to me, it's kind of like how we talked about creative muscle on the first episode of this podcast. It's about the process and putting in the work and doing it. So I think that's one that we can heartily agree on.
Dope. I like that.
Dope. Uh, my number two was get selfish, um, which is really about like, to me, when I am creative, it's because I'm doing it for myself. Even if it's like I'm doing it for work, I would always try to like, the idea had to make sense or in my head, and it had to be like, I want to see this in the world, right? Like, um, anything in my professional career that I ever gave birth to out of my imagination and then turned into like, it was because to me, I was like, I want to see that in real life. I want to see what that looks like. Um, and I think that when you are creative and you start worrying about like, what does the audience want or what does the client want? At least for me, it gets very unsatisfying. I am all about like, when I'm done working on a creative thing, I want to be like, I left every little bit of myself on the field and I didn't pull any punches and I didn't compromise. And so I think like, that's what I get at when I say get selfish.
It's so crazy how you, to me, just made being selfish sound like romantic. Like,
I
so
mean, the greatest love story is falling in love with yourself, isn't it?
there you go. Look at you and your positivity.
It's very negative.
Your negative positivity.
My antisocial positivity.
Oh my God. And that actually, ties into one of mine, which was the last one. Or no, it wasn't the last one. It was number 6, connection. And I wrote connection because I think it is just as important for you to connect with yourself so that you can connect with other people, right? Like the saying, we can
Yep,
only connect as deeply with others as we have with ourselves.
totally.
Um, and so I do think that being selfish is that.
I think you just you just made me think of a really good example of a creative person who is incredibly in touch with themselves and also incredibly in touch with their audience.
Mm-hmm.
And that person is someone whose music I cannot stand, but it's Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift understands that the little girl that lives inside of her lives inside millions and millions and millions and millions of other people. And
Does she
that
live in
little
you?
girl, no, she does not. That little girl, nothing to do with me.
Everyone but me.
The little girl that lives inside Olivia Rodrigo might live inside me, but not the one
Okay.
in Taylor Swift. But Taylor
Okay.
Swift just gets that like people want to believe in love and people want love to be idealized, even if it's a little bit messy and that it's inevitably going to be messy. And so she crafts these little confections of like, I always refer to them as like miniature romance novels or like her songs because she just knows that that thing that speaks to within her also lives in the rest of the world. And she has a singular ability to do that really pleasingly to a lot of people. Not me, but lots of other people. So
I
there you go.
agree.
In case Taylor Swift didn't get enough dap in this world, there you go.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to come for us now.
It's a clever marketing ploy I'm doing. I'm trying to get the Swifties to cancel me so that I come up in the algorithm.
A little reverse psychology.
That's right. Okay. So let's just recap so far. Let's talk about the ones that we agree with. We seem like we're violently in agreement about honor your process.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, where did we net out on get angry?
listen to your emotions.
Listen. Okay. Especially if your emotions are anger
Or joy.
or joy. Fine. Fine. I'm trying to
We're
corrupt you.
we're
Okay.
literally yin and yang right now. I'm wearing
I
white
know.
and you're wearing black.
I know. I know. I'm not supposed to wear black. I just had my color story done recently.
Oh,
I'm a cool summer, and
of
so I'm not
course
supposed to
you
wear
are.
black.
God bless.
If you don't know, I mean, you got to
She's a
know.
summer. I'm an autumn. I know that.
Okay, so what's your number 3 one?
Surrender.
Yes, this is the one that really piqued my curiosity.
Okay, so surrender. I think it's important, even though we're creating, to leave room for the path to reveal itself. So, like,
Yes.
yes, have your process, have your ideas, brainstorm, do all that, but like that, and this kind of stays in line with stay curious. It's like, let what's coming kind of take form versus trying to force what it's going to be or what it's going to look like.
Yep.
Um, yeah, like, get a grip,
Yeah.
but without controlling it.
I love that. I don't remember where I first heard this, but I was pretty young when I first heard this, and I was playing music with other people, and we were writing a song, and one of the guys in the band I was in said, "I'm not sure what this song wants to be yet." And
Mm-hmm.
I had never thought about like the song or the thing you're creating having agency, and like it does maybe spiritually, but it's
Mm.
like the song exists, you're channeling it and giving it form and making it real, but it's kind of telling you where it wants to go, what it wants to be. And I think that's a very like good um mindset to have when you're creating. Like you might have a vague notion of what the idea is supposed to be, but it's going to tell you what it really wants to be. So that's great. I love that.
What was
My number
your
3 is read, which I think is similar to the one that you had about staying curious. I think that very often, like professionally, people would always be like, "Oh man, Steve is like so smart," and I'm like, "I'm not really. I just read a lot. Like I just read a ton of stuff wherever I go. Like, um, and then I internalize the stuff I read. So like, I think reading or listening to podcasts like this one,
right?
especially this one, um, or like watching documentaries. I don't care what it is. Consume media in some way that illuminates your path and helps you learn things that you didn't know when you woke up in the morning is like maybe the most foundational fundamental thing you can do as a creative person.
Yeah, or even like being inspired by other creators or other artists. I
Totally.
think I learn a lot about, I think, life in general through like movies
Mm-hmm.
and music and stories, people who are
Absolutely.
storytellers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that one.
Yep. uh what's your 4th?
Well, it was Lean Into Joy. We have already discussed that one.
Right.
The next one would be practice detachment,
Talk to me about that.
which is in the same vein as surrender, but surrender is during the process. I think practicing detachment once whatever you're creating is complete is important, because I think in anything that we do as humans, we have a tendency to like have this like enmeshment with our identity to what we're creating or what we're
Mm-hmm.
doing,
Yep.
to like over identify with our creation. And then that's why you have like make the thing, do the thing, let it go and just let it be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because if you kind of like hold on too tight to it, you'll just stay there. And then you
Yep.
have like this tendency to become stagnant as a creator, because it's like you can't see other options or other ways to innovate or other possibilities if you just stay, well, it's like, this is how I did it and it worked this way. I have to do it
I
this
love that.
way all the time.
Yep. That's really interesting. I thought where you were going with the detachment thing, but I love the way you're using it. To me, It reminded me of something that a creative writing professor might have said to me, that stuck with me my whole life, where he was talking about the creative process. And he was like, the creative process is you are basically three people. And the
Okay.
first person you are is the architect. And that's like, you're planning it. What's it going to be? Da, 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 da. The third person is the editor. And that's the person who comes in and cleans it up after it's made. But
Uh-huh.
the middle guy is or woman is the he called it the lunatic or the madman. And so it's like
Mm.
you kind of lose control when you're in the actual moment of creation because it's flowing through you to some degree.
Right.
Um, but I think both of those sort of spins on detachment make a ton of sense.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Um, my fourth one was a little cheeky. I said play with yourself and others.
It
What I
did
mean,
make me giggle. I was like, where is he going with this?
I'm,
We are going to get canceled.
if I'm, if I'm good for anything, it's a cheap laugh. Um, but basically another way to say that is just like practice, right? Like, and again, it comes from music, but I've also experienced it through the lens of writing. I think you experience it if you're into cooking or whatever. So you need to do the thing yourself a lot. So you
Uh-huh.
get comfortable with it. You reduce the fear that you always have going into any creative endeavor of like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do now. But then importantly, I think you also need to do it in collaboration with other people. You need to collab. Definitely in music, I've experienced this. Like if you sit in your bedroom your whole life and play an instrument, you're only going to get so good. You have got to play with other people because music is kind of a conversation between other people. But I would say the same thing if you're like a painter or if you're a chef, like working with other people who also do the thing you do just teaches you new tricks and helps you out. And I actually had a conversation with somebody after our first podcast episode who was like, I disagree with you about your like collaborative creativity point. Remember that point that we made in the first episode? And this
Yeah.
person was like, I only want to do it solo. And so I think there are different archetypes of creative people, but I
Interesting.
strongly, strongly believe that collabing and creating with other people produces better creative people than going it on your own exclusively.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, look at us. Hello. All right, moving on. Be fucking for real.
Yes, hit me.
Um, I just didn't want to use authenticity, to be fair. But also, I just think it was more just be honest with yourself and your expression was like
Mm-hmm.
the phrase that kind of hit me when I was writing these out. I think it's really important to like unapologetically show up as yourself.
For sure.
Um, because it's so easy to be like, oh, maybe this will be cringe. So I'm not going to
Mm-hmm.
do it, even though that's what I feel. And it's just like, if you're feeling it, someone else is feeling it too, or has
For sure.
felt it. And like you not expressing it in its authentic form is doing a disservice to your creativity.
Yep.
Um, so I think as much as possible, creators and artists should really just fucking go for it. Cause why not? You can, cause you can.
I'm going to say a quote that I believe was originally from Childish Gambino.
Oh, okay.
And it was something along the lines of nobody ever lays on their deathbed going, thank God I wasn't cringe.
Right, 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 right.
Think about it a lot because I am a lot of times I'm like, ooh, that's cringe. Oh, that's cringe. And I'm like, yeah, but maybe cringe is good. Maybe we should be trying to be more cringe sometimes. Not all the time and never on LinkedIn, but we should try to like embrace your cringe sometimes. That could be another
For
wrinkle to put
sure.
on
I
that.
think, yeah, being fucking for real, like shooting your shot, trying
Hmm.
hard, like the fuck. What else are we supposed to be doing? I mean,
It's It's so easy to be a hater, right? It's like the
Mm-hmm.
classic thing when you go to like a modern art museum and like there's a installation that's just like a purple dot and people are like, "Well, anyone could do that." I'm like, "Yeah, but you didn't. Someone that guy did or that
Exactly.
lady did or whatever." And so that, but I also it's like so easy to sit on the sidelines and hate and then like weaponize these terms. It's so weird. Like try hard and cringe
Mm-hmm.
are so
Mm-hmm.
negative, but like sometimes trying hard is really good. And sometimes being cringe just means you're earnest. I was also one time in a conversation with someone professionally, and they
Okay.
said to me, they go, "You're really thoughtful." And they didn't say it as a compliment. It was almost like, "You're thoughtful,
God
and that's
forbid.
not great." And I was like, "Well, what the hell's wrong with being thought? Aren't we supposed to think? We've got these brains that we carry around in our skulls with us, so like, we should use them, right?" Anyway, um, okay, be fucking for real. I co-sign that. My next one was process, not product, which we've already talked about. So then my
Yeah,
next
that's
one was, um, oh, do what you're good at. Um, And this is,
okay.
I'm being a little hypocritical here because I do think you should also do things that you have no frame of reference for. But um, like you as a creative person, anyone as a creative person will have a creative vocabulary, sort of like things that come naturally to you. For instance, I used to work with this person who every creative brief she ever saw, she was like, "It's a game. We need to invent a game. The way to address this thing is a game." And she was really good at doing that. And so, like, that was her creative language, and that was
Okay.
how she was comfortable. And so, like, she got really good at figuring out all the different ways to like create a game. Like, she just got so good at it because she didn't go outside of like, I can do this one thing. And I'm not saying that you should always do that, but if you know what your strengths are, develop them and get them sharper.
Yeah, I think there's like a balance. I think the tweak there might be start with what you're good at.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like that. I like that tweak.
Because
That's a good build.
I think you can build off of that. You can expand that's it's giving expansion, you know? I always tell people it's like when you get in like these episodes of like I can't do anything, I suck at everything, or like I have nothing, like there's nothing to live for,
Wait,
like woe is me.
I'm not the only one who does that.
I mean, I feel like you're familiar with this territory, Grumpy.
Mm-hmm.
But like when you get in these spaces, it's good to remind yourself like everything you do have. Right. So I do agree with that one.
Start with what you're good at. I love that. Okay, what's next on your list?
Fuck perfection.
Fuck
And
it.
I openly, candidly struggle with this one. Um Astro friends, I'm a Virgo stellium. So yeah. Steve won't get that. But there are people out
I
there.
get it. I know what you're talking about. I just don't subscribe to that. But yes, I know what you're saying. Go ahead.
Yes, and I will because I've been wanting to use this quote in a podcast. I've prepped for this moment my whole life. Um, the late great Diane Keaton.
Ah.
Yes. Uh, she said, "What is perfection anyway? It's the death of
Mm,
creativity." That's what I
mm,
think.
yeah.
And I tend to agree because perfection, I think, invites in all these like ugly fucking thoughts like comparison and your
Yeah.
judgment. And then that's what you're leading with. And so the tweak there or like the reframe there, instead of striving for perfection, to strive
Mm-hmm.
for excellence, strive for precision, like be
Mm-hmm.
precise. All of these things are, I think, creative strengths. But when we're talking about perfection, that means you're not thinking about you. That means
Mm.
you're probably thinking about what someone else did and how that holds up next to it. Or you're leading with like your own insecurities and like criticizing yourself and like overthinking it instead of
Yep.
feeling it.
Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, I am not aware of anything that's perfect. Like, and so to hold yourself to that standard, and I know people who do, like to their own detriment, like it's really kind of heartbreaking when you know a person who's a true perfectionist, because
Hmm.
it really kind of is a symptom of maybe OCD. To think that like I won't try to do anything because I'm not going to do it perfectly, and it can be really debilitating. And it's like, well, just look around and be like, what's perfect?
Hmm.
No, show me one thing. There's not one thing in the world that's perfect. There's lots of people that will tell you that stuff is perfect. There's people who curate their life on Instagram to make it look like it's perfect. And we all know that that's
Nope.
fraud. Okay. My next one was recycle yourself. Um,
I'm interested in this one.
I, probably like professionally, I've pitched, thousands of ideas in my life.
Mm.
And if I pitch an idea and it doesn't sell to a client, you can bet your ass I am going to try to sell it to somebody again because I came up with the idea. I really wanted to exist. I'm going to give you a great example of this.
Okay.
There was a time back in the day, I think it was Anheuser-Busch was the client,
Hmm.
and they were trying to do this thing about um, pairing beers with food. So like they wanted to tap into foodie culture. They wanted to get Epicurean. They wanted to be like this blonde ale goes with meat or fit. Well, I don't know, whatever it was. I'm not a there, and there's a term for beer sommelier, and I can't remember it right now, but I will remember it at some point. That's not the point. The point is, I had this idea to create a series of pop-up restaurants called Residence that was in like empty real estate. And what you would do is you would find chefs who were like between concepts. So they weren't working at a restaurant. They were like maybe trying to get the money together for one, but you would just give them a residency in the same way that DJs have residencies. And then people would come to these places. They would eat a deliciously curated menu and beer pairing thing. And there'd be enough like branded stuff in there that you knew that was, brought to you by Anheuser-Busch. And then the other thing is we would basically turn that space into like the set of reality content programming because you could have like interviews with guests. You could invite celebrities to come. You could have DJs come and play. You could have all this content that would come out of it. Um, Long story short, the client didn't buy that idea, but I have been trying to sell that idea ever since, and I will if it's the last thing I ever
And
do.
he just pitched it again, ladies and gentlemen.
I
Anyone
did.
listening?
I did. Residence. It's the best. I would have gone to that restaurant myself again to go back to all of our creative rules. Like it made me
Right.
uncomfortable, but it was stuff I enjoyed, and I was comfortable with the kind of concept of pop-ups. It was just like,
Yeah,
yeah.
it reminds me of like the concept of pop-up shopping, which does really well when
Hmm.
it's done right.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. So that's what I mean when I say recycle myself or recycle yourself. Just like know your stuff, know the stuff that like it didn't make it or it didn't get sold or it did get sold and you produced it and it was okay, but like you want to do it again. Recycle yourself. There's no shame in that.
yeah, recycle your like because I think it shows you believe in your ideas.
100%.
Um,
100%.
which is great. I think, gosh, if more creators and artists wielded that confidence,
Mm-hmm.
instead of second guessing their ideas just because it doesn't hit the first time, you know.
What's next on your list?
Next, I wrote ground over grind. I actually wrote ground with a greater than symbol and then grind.
Love that.
Um, yeah, because I think we recently had a conversation where I was just like, when we're coming up with ideas, even for this podcast, it's like,
Yep.
what is the thing we're centering ourselves in?
Mm-hmm.
And like, why are we even doing this? Because
Right.
that should come across in like everything that you do. I
Yep.
think both as an artist and a creator, like that can change. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but you have to be clear on it. And I think that that's the importance, is that you define what it is and that you remember that while you're creating. Yeah, I think I just told
I
you
agree.
too, like I was just talking about, Rosalia just dropped her new album, and she
Yes.
kind of set out to redefine what pop is, and
Right.
it's really landing. I mean, I love her, so she can do no wrong in my eyes.
Right.
But
And her point of view is that it is a pop album. Is that right?
her point of view is she is a pop artist,
Right.
period.
Right.
And just because each one of her albums had a different vibe to them, like her previous album, Motomami, was like very like dance and reggaeton and just like a party vibe
Yep.
more so. And this album is classical music, different languages, mostly ballads. It's insane work in the best way. Like, it's so good. But it's also really bold and really like all the other things we've been saying. Like, she was kind of just like, fuck it, I'm going to do what I feel I want to do. And what I think pop is, and that it shouldn't be put in a box.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Okay. And just to go back to the point you made about like the why and like what's the purpose of this podcast? The purpose of this podcast is to sell the residence idea again and again. So
circling back.
No, I'm just kidding. That's not what the purpose of this podcast is. Purpose of the podcast. That's fun to say. Purpose of the podcast. Okay. My next one was invest in new toys. And this is like maybe silly, but like as a musician, if you get a new instrument, you instantly have like a reason to play again and to get more like, oh, I'm really going to dive in. I'm going to try and like come up with a new sound. I really want to like, oh man, this tone of this guitar really takes me down this creative avenue. If you're a chef and you get like a new pan, new knives, whatever it is, a new ingredient, you know, like even like, oh, I got like this spice, I got fresh cardamom. I don't know, whatever it is. But I think sometimes if you feel stagnant and you feel dry and you're like, I don't know, I don't have an idea, you might need a thing. So I'm a big believer in like every now and then you just need to get yourself a toy. And it doesn't have to be like some big expensive thing, but like it can set the imagination and the creativity free in a way that you never would have thought of if you didn't have this thing.
For sure. I keep my secret, not so secret, witchy life alive by buying new crystals. So I totally understand. They power me up every day. You know what I mean? I know you don't. No, but
this is episode 5. We're going to deep dive into this crystal thing. Because go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, you might be right. And I might be missing out on this whole crystal situation. But I've got a lot to learn. So we'll get into that later. What's next on your list?
I think this is my final one.
All right.
And it might end a little controversial, but nonetheless, remember humanity.
Remember humanity.
Remember humanity.
Talk to me about this.
In this day and age, I think it's important for us to remember that we were creators and artists before AI. And I think there's something to be said for that. I think I'm not for or against AI right now. Like I think we're all feeling our feelings about it. There are great things and terrifying things about it, and I think that could be said about many things in life.
Sure.
But I think it's important to remember we are not machines.
Right.
So in terms of productivity, like productivity does not equal quality.
Right.
And so while AI makes us like super productive, it doesn't mean that your work is better necessarily.
Yep.
Certainly not original. like not more original. Yeah, it's the point to say is like, sure, there's tools out there, use them if you want to. I think that going back to the Rosalia thing, she brought up this really cool idea to me in an interview recently. Essentially, it was humanity as a form of resistance. She stated that her entire album was human made. There was no AI used in her album.
Yep.
And I'm not saying like you have to go to that extreme. But I think we just need to remember our humanity.
Yeah, I agree with that. Do you remember the meme from like, I don't know how long ago, but like, do you remember when CBD was like the thing and it was like all you ever heard about was people talking about CBD? And there was a meme where some guy goes, me, and he's like, my grandpa just died. And then his friend's like, you know, he should try CBD. Like you could vape it, you can eat it, you can bake it into cookies. And the guy's like, he's dead. I feel like that's where we are with AI. We're doing that meme where it's like, but AI could do this and it could do that. And you could do this with it. And you could do that. You could write a thank you note to your grandma. And it's like, yeah, okay, but why? Like, so much of it is just like, I think, parlor tricks to drive the valuation of OpenAI and Anthropic and Google. And I mean, whatever, that we do that all the time, but I just find it odd how quickly people are just happy to be like, yeah, we don't need people anymore.
I think it's just like a new toy. You know what I mean?
For sure. It is. And I like, just to be clear, like, does AI and machine learning have tons of application that could and probably will make the world a way better place? Sure. So I'm not discounting the potential of AI.
Did you have any more?
I have two more. One of them I think we've kind of talked about a little bit, and it kind of goes along with like invest in new toys. It's cultivate rituals. I just think like as a creative person, your rituals can bring you comfort and also set you free. But I don't really want to talk about that one as much.
That was honor your process.
Honor your process, exactly.
Yeah.
The one I want to talk about is the one that my daughter came up over my shoulder when I was writing this list. And she said, that's a bad word. And I was like, and the line that I wrote was brag on yourself. And she's like, bragging is bad. And I was like, sure it is sometimes. But if you're a creative person, in any way, if you think of yourself, define yourself, market yourself as being a creative person, I think you should like almost act like a pop star. And you need to know your hits. You need to know the stuff that you've done, and you need to talk about them a lot. Like I do it. You've heard me do it. I talked about the Anheuser-Busch residence idea that actually never even got sold. So like, why am I talking about an idea I came up with probably 10 years ago? Because I love it. And because I know it's easier for me to explain who I am creatively by telling you the ideas that excite me than it is for me to tell you about my process and tell you about like, oh, here's how I solve problems and here's how I get around a brief. Like, no, the best way for me to leave an impression upon you or anyone else is to tell you the ideas that have come out of my head that I love. Because then you go, I know who that guy is. He's the guy who wants to do those pop-up restaurants. Whatever. What a boring idea. But at least you know who I am. You know what I mean? Right. And so I think if we're creative people and we want to preserve our humanity, lead with our humanity, all of that, keep a running tally of the stuff that you've done, even if it never actually landed, and talk about it all the time because it helps define you, and not only just to an audience or to people you're trying to do business with, but like it helps define you to yourself. Because you start to go like, oh, the one I remember, the ones I keep coming back to, that's who I am.
Yeah.
So brag on yourself, fam. That's what I say. Also, if you don't brag on yourself, who's going to brag on you? Why is that funny?
I don't know. I just feel like you could substitute that about other things. If you don't
like
love
what?
yourself, who's going to love you?
I mean, that's facts too, though.
Right.
You got to be your own emotional support system, your own champion. Yeah. Because really, and like, let's bring it back to creativity. Like the world's a hard place. I mean, it is.
Yeah.
Like, you, there's no manual. We don't know why we're here. Some people think they do. But like, if you don't stand yourself and if you don't go like, hey, like I have unique, creative, interesting ideas and whatever it is, and then share those with the world, like who's going to do it on your behalf? Nobody. So,
Yeah.
I feel like this has been an incredibly inspiring and productive conversation. Um, what we should probably do is like put these in a list and then like very cutely design it and put it on social media so people can like screenshot it and save it and be like, ah, those guys were talking about this and this is going to be my new code of how I go through my life.
Yeah.
Any parting thoughts on the second episode of the Creative Bias podcast?
Feel like I'll rest peacefully now.
Yes, you got it. You got it all out. You've like got your whole creative process out into the world, and now you can sleep easy until the morning comes and you have to do project management stuff.
Timelines.
That's that's the 11th rule of commandment of creativity. Manage your timelines.
Yuck.
All right. On that note, thank you everybody for tuning in to the Creative Bias Podcast, episode 2, and follow us, and we'll be back roughly every other week with a new episode.